Hi, and welcome to Partners in Progress, a couples podcast about love, life, and well-being in your 20s with me, Eloise.
And me, Sammy.
In this podcast, we'll be discussing topics like relationships, health, well-being, spirituality, and just life. From tips and tricks to failures and falls, all while sharing our story as we try to figure out building and growing a life together in the chaos of modern-day society. We'll be coming to you every Sunday with our shares and invite some guests to share their experiences too. So grab a blanket, a cuppa, and settle in to Partners in Progress. Hello and welcome back to Partners in Progress. It feels very special that we are recording this today because today is our your parents called it something recently, meeting day?
Meeting anniversary or something like that.
That's
I think
cute.
because they celebrate that.
So yeah, 5 years ago we met for the first time.
Yeah.
Which is also my friend Natty's birthday.
Happy birthday.
I know. Happy birthday to Natty. So yeah, it feels very funny. It kind of feels like it has been like more than 5 years, and also I don't know, I feel like it has been at least 5 years now, but like it wouldn't surprise me if like it was longer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you, because I think it was like for the 2 or 3 years, those were the ones where it felt like, gosh, it feels like it's all gone so quickly, and it didn't feel like that. But I feel like it's starting to feel like, yeah, it has been this amount of years, just purely from the amount of stuff that we've done together.
Literally.
To be honest, I mean, especially this last year, we've done so much with getting a house, getting a car, and just kind of all of that stuff as well. So yeah, it feels like the years are actually reflecting how long we have it together now. Like it's all kind of lining up, because it's like in any less years it would be like not enough time, but any more it'd be like a bit spread out. So yeah, I feel like it lines up for me mentally.
Yeah. So this weekend when this episode is out, we will be probably getting ready for another hike in the Peak District.
Yes.
Because we have this tradition where because like these 3 months almost, it feels like there's so much that goes on. You've got like Christmas, both our birthdays and our anniversary. So what we normally agree to do instead of like presents and things like that is we go for a little like weekend away. We've done that like quite a few times. I think I know that we've done them at least 3 out of the 5.
I want to say we've done it for last year's the only one. I'm not sure. Yeah, last year we didn't because of all the house stuff. I think we were saving money for that.
I thought last year was Sherwood Forest, was it not?
No, Sherwood Forest was the year before, because I was still in university at that point.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So we had Sherwood Forest, and then we went to a very nice hotel in Reading that I always forget the name of.
Yeah, Little Cot.
Little Cot, that's the one. And then this year we've got this, and our first year together. I'm trying to remember.
We did our promise rings.
Yeah, that was it. So I don't think we did anything.
Oh no, that was Reading, wasn't it?
Yeah, Little Cot would be off it. What was it? God,
I don't know. I can't remember all our anniversaries now. I'm trying to think now.
No, first year we've been in Nottingham together.
Yes, we were in
Lenton.
I don't know. I know. Oh yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know I don't know.
We did something.
Probably. Anyway, it's been long enough now. At that point where like we have these memories and we'll like start to tell each other about the memories, and then we're like, yeah, I was with you at the time.
So I was the person you were talking to in that moment. You're like, I can't remember who I was saying all this funny stuff to, and it was like, it was me.
But yeah, this time, I mean, we're supposed to make it up for it, because this time we're doing like two little
excursions.
Yeah, two mini holidays.
Back to back.
Yeah.
The best way to do holidays.
I know. Full chaos mode.
I know.
And so we obviously got the Peak District this weekend, and then we'll be going to my hometown, Milton Keynes, for a little extra overnight trip. So I'm quite excited for us to have like 5 days in a row together.
5 days off in a row. Yeah.
Yeah.
From a Saturday to a Wednesday.
So that's going to be really, really lovely. And what's really special about our anniversary as well is it's right by not quite on, but right near the spring equinox. And as you know, our seasonal living lives, we of course like to acknowledge and appreciate things like the spring equinox. So this year, I think it's on the 20th of March, so next Thursday.
Okay.
And I thought we could talk a little bit about the spring equinox today and what it kind of means and how to celebrate, I suppose.
Yeah.
What do you know of the spring equinox?
Ooh. So spring equinox is, when I was younger, I always got confused on when the season started and finished. So for some reason, I thought it was the start of summer when I was younger, because I was like, well, winter can't go from like December to March. That's crazy. I was always like, winter's October to December. So I know something important happened on like the 20th, 21st of March around then. So I was like, oh, it's got to be the start of summer, I guess. And then it would get to June, and I'd be like, wait, but that's the start of summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I knew it was an important day. I didn't really know why. As I've got older, I kind of associate it with just the start of feeling like the sun is kind of alive again, and it's kind of less so in school but more so in work. It's when you start actually getting your evenings back, because it's light like after 6:30ish, which is where we're getting to now already, but it's like it feels like, oh, I'm actually a person after I finish work again, and I don't just have to melt into a little puddle.
Yeah.
But in terms of actually the traditions and celebrations around it, I don't really know too much. I feel like I know a bit more around like kind of the winter and the summer solstice. Sorry, I'm chuckling just because our cat has decided to start playing crazily in view. Just ignore them a little bit so I don't get distracted. But yeah, I don't really know what the main celebrations are. So you can hopefully enlighten me as well as anyone else.
So I mean, what you're kind of saying is like, right, so the spring equinox marks the beginning of spring, in terms of like the seasonal wheel, and the term equinox is kind of not quite equal, but like very close to equal in terms of light and dark, so like day and night.
Yeah.
So at this time there's a balance between how much sunlight and how much darkness that we get throughout like a 24-hour cycle. So there are a lot of like ties between the kind of like spring equinox and Easter celebrations. I know that Sweden has some particularly as well, right?
Yeah, they do. I think some of them are more associated with Easter, but like you say, they're kind of a bit of both, really. So the most common one that me and my family would do when we go out every Easter would be you'd kind of collect various twigs, usually from like, I don't know if it's always from birch trees, but we had a lot of birch trees around, so that's what we ended up using.
Sounds like from what I've seen, it looks very birch.
Yeah, because I think you like sort of the white of the sort of like bark on that kind of stands out quite nicely against what you'd have as well. So you'd have like some feathers on, not like real ones, more like decorative ones that would be like pink and blue and yellow mainly. So very springy colours. I feel like, again, it might be association because you make this in spring, but in my head they always felt like springy colours.
Yeah, same.
Sorry about that. And then you'd also have little sort of decorative eggs. Sometimes we'd kind of paint our own. They wouldn't be real eggs, but they'd be like little cardboard ones that you would kind of paint or colour in however you want. Usually the same sort of colours. Polka dots was always a very popular pattern in my family, probably because it just involves like just dotting your paintbrush on the egg and not too much else. But you also get like just pre-existed, like decorated ones, which is what we get like as you kind of got older, and I wasn't as interested in doing the arts and crafts stuff anymore, but I'd come back around now.
Isn't there like I just wonder if we're getting confused with like an Icelandic tradition, but isn't there like an Easter egg? Like you don't get a normal Easter, you get an Easter egg filled with stuff.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, so as well as that, you'd get like, it's quite common to see kind of, I guess so, like imagine your Easter egg you'd get in the UK, but it would be like cardboard, like the whole egg would be like kind of cardboard material, but it's all decorated to look really nice. So it usually has like pictures of bunnies or chicks or whatever you want, the classic Easter animals, and you can kind of open it up so it's hollow on the inside, and then you would like kind of buy specific sweets for someone and then put them inside it. So you could get chocolates or other Swedish, well, any sweets you want. They don't have to be Swedish, but they would be. And then you'd give that instead. So it's kind of more, you could customize it to what an individual person likes, rather than just here's a chocolate one. Not that chocolate ones are bad by any means. I always think it's the best of both worlds when you can have one of each. But
dual heritage vibes.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what dual citizenship will get you, one of each. But yeah, so that was something that I'd always get every year, and then I think it's like my mum would always get one for my mum, so it would kind of be passed downwards.
That's sweet.
So I haven't had to make anyone one of those before.
Do you think you would if you had like kids?
Oh, absolutely.
That's cute.
I've seen them at like super rarely in the UK. I've seen them in a couple of places. I'm thinking now, I think I've probably only seen it in IKEA.
Yeah,
which
probably.
would make sense because the Swedish company, obviously.
Yeah.
But I've definitely seen it in the UK, but rarely. And then, I think I went there around Easter once, and then they had some stuff there. But so they got some nice traditions like that. But I guess there's others all around the world that kind of vary.
Yeah, I think like the energy of like Easter celebrations are very similar to that of like the spring equinox. A lot of the kind of practices and traditions associated with the spring equinox are like egg linked, because the whole thing with the spring equinox is things coming back to life, and there are like babies being born in like certain animals, and lots of animals are coming out of hibernation. That's a lot of what the kind of spring energy brings, and obviously seeds finally coming out the soil and everything starting to grow and come to life again, and that starts with the spring equinox, which I think is really cool. And what's actually quite interesting about the spring equinox as well is last time we were talking about Imbolc and how there was the goddess like Saint Bridget, which was associated with Imbolc, but spring equinox, which is also known as Ostara, I think it's I'm probably butchering that name, Ostara. There's not actually one specific goddess associated, like that isn't a goddess. But there is like a few different goddesses that people kind of call Ostara because they are basically like the goddess of spring.
Right.
But I do think I can think of some of the goddesses that like you can come across. They're all very like fertility type vibes. So there's obviously the Greek goddess Persephone.
Yes, that's the one.
And she's like the goddess, the Greek goddess of spring. She's all about like the kind of like coming of spring arrival. So that's one of the goddesses. And then you've also got like a Roman goddess called Flora, Norse goddess
nice,
called Idun. And probably again,
hang on, show me the
Idun. Idunn is how it's pronounced.
I guess it'd be like Idun.
Idun.
Yeah, maybe.
It's very like Norse. You've also got Freya. So that's like a Norse goddess as well. She's associated with beauty and fertility. And then Lada, which is a Slavic goddess who is honored during spring festivals.
Quite a nice variety of different goddesses associated with it then. But like I said, like fertility makes sense as well, given spring, like start of spring being when everything's kind of growing and stuff like that.
And I think we've spoken about this before, how a lot of the kind of like more classic like celebrations that are more like mainstream in terms of like Halloween and Christmas and Easter, obviously they have like religious ties, but they're just, I think a lot of households just celebrate them anyway, and a lot of them are reflections of a lot of the traditions that took place around the seasonal turns of the year, like the spring equinox. So that's why like talking about like Easter, although Easter's not until like next month technically, spring equinox, it's kind of like it's got the same energy, and it's got the same kind of practices and stuff, which I really like. But yeah, so spring equinox is like the beginning of spring. And it's interesting because I think there's a lot of mixed views on like when spring begins, because I think a lot of us kind of associate spring with like the 1st of March.
Yeah, I think, like that was also something that I thought after my initial thought when I was younger of like when the month started, I was like, I think I just thought the seasons always started at the beginning of the month. So I was like, 1st of March, spring, let's get the sun and everything going now, go on. So and even this year it's felt like that a bit, but you're always aware it's not fully there yet. It's like it's warming up to it. But.
Well, technically it depends on like what you choose to like start, because the weather people will tell you that spring begins on the 1st of March because they've linked the seasons to the like Georgian calendar that we use, so and it's linked to like the weather context basically. So weather people probably tell you that it begins 1st of March. More like pagan traditions, or if you're just a seasonal living wheel of the year person, you would probably, you know, associate with spring equinox. And I think some people, maybe like some gardeners, probably associate spring equinox with like the start of spring. Certainly the animals,
Yeah.
and like our ancestors would have used the spring equinox as their guide to spring beginning, because it's an easy way of, without like the clocks and things that we have now, the only way to tell when like the seasons turn is by your experience of the weather.
Yeah.
An experience of like sunlight. And so because the spring equinox is a day of balance, has like the same amount of light and dark ish.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it depends
It's
on...
not exact, but it's close enough. That would be the sign like, okay, spring has started now.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of a key reason that like ancestrally you probably see spring equinoxes very much celebrated more than you would like the 1st of March, for example.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That it ties into so many different kind of factors and that, with like who would classify it as a start of spring.
And the spring equinox is definitely like my favorite.
That doesn't surprise me.
I just love spring, and it feels like there's like a certain magic in the air when spring begins, like all the kind of life coming from what seems like it's been dead, and
Yeah.
all the babies, like the animal babies, so cute. And just like how people start reacting, like I feel like a lot of people have this weight lifted from them when spring starts. Do you feel like you've seen that in like people recently, like the last couple of weeks?
I feel like I've seen it in me recently, to be honest. But yeah, no, I agree. I think it's like you can feel it, and even when we've been out on some of the more recent weekends, just like even not super far, just out and about, but like when we've been out with your friends and stuff, it's like it feels like people are a bit more alive and just a bit more excited about just things in general. And I can feel the same, because I think I was reaching my limit with the winter sort of seasons of like, oh gosh, this is still going, and feeling like the darkness was taking over. But just having even the sunlight back, I think even for a little bit like we have now, I think it's given that, like, we're not in spring yet, but we're getting there. And I think that's what people feel excited about, even if they can't really put their finger on it.
And we had like really nice weather. We were so lucky last weekend when my friends came to visit, because like the weather like was up to like 20 degrees, wasn't it?
I know,
it was sunny.
I was like, I had my coat and everything that I thought I'd need, and then it's like, no, I don't need that. As soon as you get outside, you're like, ooh, hot.
I was in gym leggings rather than thermal leggings. It's crazy.
Well, I was in shorts as opposed to my usual shorts. So.
But I do find myself comparing their latest like visits, so last weekend, with when they came last, which was in October, and how the energy was definitely different. Like we were all like really eager to do things. We managed to get through quite a lot. Like we did so many things over the weekend.
A very full weekend. Whereas other times that they've been up, again, it's not against anyone specifically. I think it's just the general energy level's been lower, because it's like we haven't done as much as we've done in those like 2 days as we had in the past like 2 or 3 times I'd been here probably. Literally. So it's like it was like full, but it wasn't like busy or like overly stressful or anything. It felt like it was right for where we were all at, which is really nice when everyone's on the same wavelength, I think. I
think we just felt like able to do all those things like quite comfortably, weren't we? And I don't think any of us were like exhausted by, well, Danny was, but Danny was tired before because of his work and assessments, as he works full time and studies a degree, so
somehow
boy works hard.
He does,
he grinds. So yeah, it was a really lovely thing, and I think that was really special for me to kind of have my friends and be able to do lots of things with them. We went for a lovely walk and things, so it was really really nice.
I think Just Dance wiped me out towards the end, but, aside from that,
I actually finally succeeded in winning for once at a game.
Crazy.
Kirsty was so mad. she was putting in like 100 times effort,
and there you were, just hitting it all perfect anyway.
I know, just vibing out. No, I always make a joke about this, because like we always say that I have my own rhythm. Like if it comes to dancing to a song or anything,
you always find your own tempo. I don't quite know how, but there's always a way. I find
my own vibe in a song and I go with it, you know. But yeah, again, I just think like the spring energy has just been arriving, and so I just felt more able to do things.
Channeled it into your just dancing.
I did.
just everything really. But,
so that was really quite special. But But yeah, so I was going to talk about like some ideas for how to celebrate
Yeah,
the spring equinox.
that sounds very nice.
What comes to mind for you? This is because you have had a spring equinox celebration, or like, you know, you've learned about spring equinox stuff before. So
I have on a seasonal living course by a certain someone.
yeah.
I need to start going through that again. But I feel like the things I'd associate with it, and it's like to quote unquote celebrate, is like planting new seeds and new flowers is one of the things that jumps straight to mind. It's like everything we've talked about is that like fertility and the start of new life and everything. And I feel like plants is the easiest way that we can introduce. I mean, unless you're a farmer with sheep or whatever, but since we're not, it's just a really nice way of kind of introducing that energy and that idea of kind of bringing new life and things, whether that's from seedlings or just planting, repotting, whatever.
Garden.
Yeah, I mean that's which we've been doing quite a lot of recently, to be fair. So I feel like we're starting it. But yeah, so I feel like things like that, and then it's hard to put specific on it. I think again this might be more from what I've described with Sweden and things earlier, but it's more general like arts and crafty type activities.
Crafty.
I don't really have anything specific around that, but yeah.
I think one of the like traditional practices is to make like flower crowns.
Yes, yeah.
Which is always a really cute thing. So just like going for like a nature walk and picking out some items that you with foraging responsibly, obviously, like especially at this time when it's like the flowers coming up are the first ones for the bees and stuff. So
you don't want to be taking too much.
No, definitely just taking only a little bit, and ideally like flowers that have already been pollinated.
Yes.
Would be good. And I mean, I've done them before where they literally just have blades of grass on them, and they've looked really cool, like in like kind of line and stuff like that. And then just a couple of little tiny little flowers. And you can literally make it out of like anything. You can go full weave a whole damn crown if you want, or literally like I think last year we unrolled like a toilet roll. So like the cardboard toilet roll, if you unroll it, it kind of makes a bit of like a diamond shape.
Yeah.
And then if you literally just like hole punch the ends and get some twine, you've got a crown.
Yeah.
So it's a really fun, like simple activity to do. But even just going for like a nature walk, I think can be like a lovely way of connecting to the spring equinox vibes.
Absolutely.
And then finally there is one more very classic thing which people have probably already started. Well, they have already started because I know that my mum and my nanny have already started on this.
Ahead of the game.
Spring cleaning.
Oh yes, that is the classic one.
Yeah, that kind of vibe is like very spring equinoxy.
I was going to say it's refreshing your environment, really, isn't it?
Yeah, refreshing, resetting, bringing in, like welcoming in new energy, releasing old energy, of like releasing all the winter energy and welcoming in all the spring energy.
The physical and metaphorical cobwebs are gone.
Literally. So I've kind of already started this process in a very like gradual way. And yeah, my mum and nanny, they started like ages ago, to be honest.
They were cleaning
ready. But that's just something that's a really nice way that's also probably just does your own home some good as well, even if you don't really like connect with seasonal wheel of the year type things. It's still something that you can kind of choose to do. And also spring equinox can serve as a good reminder to actually spring clean.
Yeah, I think it's like it's easy to, at least for me with cleaning, it's like you fall into your routines with the things that you do regularly, but then it's like doing all the nooks and crannies of everywhere. It's like you don't always do that, and then it's like it's a good time to kind of have a look around and be like, oh, there actually are some little bits that I'm maybe missing, because I feel like I've noticed that over the past few days, little bits and pieces here and there.
Oh, I'm already way ahead of you. I've got a whole list.
There we go, the nooks and crannies list that needs testing or whatever.
Yeah, the deep clean.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that is like
very classic.
Yeah, very classic, and everyone's probably already feeling the want to do that, because as spring equinox arrives, our bodies are reacting in the same way that like the animals and stuff are in terms of waking up. Like to some degree, our bodies are reacting the same way, and so we will probably be feeling an increase of energy, an increase of craving to get outside and things like that, and definitely don't ignore it, you know, try and make time for it.
Yeah. Because I always say, especially with the cleaning one, like I started making a list like for this weekend of like, oh, what can we clean? And then I was like, wait, we've got a holiday this weekend.
Yeah, we're not doing that this weekend. Next weekend though, we're back next weekend.
Yeah, but no, it's definitely like innate kind of feeling, I think.
Yeah,
of this time.
It definitely is. One of the less pretty classic traditions of the spring equinox is the drowning of the winter goddess. Like so people make like these, like, you know how I spoke about before with in bulk, the kind of straw dolls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, now is the time to drown them.
Okay. I didn't
in the spring
hope
equinox.
You're not too attached to them then.
It's to like fully release that winter energy. I know. I told you before. When it comes to the wheel of the year, there's a lot of like drowning and burning involved.
I was thinking with like autumn and stuff, you kind of end up with a bit of that.
Yeah. Well, technically,
that's Skyforce, isn't it? But
technically, all the like midpoint ones, so like Imbolc and Samhain and Beltane and Lammas. There you go. Remember, they are 4 fire festivals, so those are literally like
burning stuff.
But also the equinoxes and solstices are the sun festivals technically. So they're all linked to fire, basically.
Yeah, I was going to say fire. Do I expect you to be like fire and water, or like sun and moon? But fire and sun feel like
well, yeah, because what does the moon control?
The water.
The tides.
The tides.
There you go. Balance, baby. It's all linked. And masculine and feminine energy is sun and moon as well.
That's true.
Everything is linked together. It's beautiful. So yeah, so those are just like some little like kind of things that you can do. Maybe not so much the drowning.
Well, unless you've already made a straw doll and don't really feel that attached to it, then it's a good excuse.
Yeah, well, don't litter, you know.
Well, if it's straw, it'll decompose, right?
Yeah, that's true. Depends what you've made. Like,
well, if you're taking it very literally, if you've used your local straw man, that's a slightly different meaning. If you use your straw person, yeah, I've lost my train of thought now. If you use straw, drown it. If it's not
drown the straw.
Drown the straw. If it's not biodegradable, then maybe don't drown it.
Yeah.
That's your PSA for the day.
Anyway, to celebrate spring equinox, you can host a little spring equinox. I always want to do that. Host like a little gathering for like the wheel of the year.
I guess you could argue we did it just a bit early, but
well, yeah, when no one was aware of that. That was what we were celebrating.
It's a secret celebration where we don't.
Not even us know what we're doing.
No, but I do agree. It'd be nice to do that because it's a good way to meet up with people and gives you an excuse at least. 4 times a year, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, 8 times if you do all of them.
If you're going to be thorough.
So yeah, in summary, the kind of things that you can do for the spring equinox to celebrate: spring cleaning, getting some eggs, doing some eggs, arts and crafts.
Yeah, exactly.
And planting some seeds as well is a really nice thing to do. And maybe just go out and enjoy some
nature.
Yeah, some nature. Even though the weather is still not like, I think that's the important thing. That's just a quick last tangent.
That's right.
I think one of the important things about like spring starting now is that spring weather is not all sunshine and rainbows. It is.
Rainbows most common in spring.
It is rainbows because it's sun and rain. Yeah. Like that's what spring is about. Like, although we had the lovely 20 degrees last weekend, we're looking at lots of like cold rain, and we dropped like 5 degrees.
Like 5 degrees max in a day, back to a couple of negative degree nights, I think.
Yeah, so, and that's not necessarily going to like change overnight. The whole beautiful reason spring is how it is because of the mixture of weather. Like if you think of the growing conditions needed to grow anything, it needs sunshine, it needs rain, it needs shadow, like it needs
a bit of everything.
It needs everything, and that's why things grow in spring, is because the weather changes every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just be prepared for it. Like, make sure you have raincoats on at all times, extra layer in your bag, like prepare for it, and you'll have a lot more enjoyable spring.
Yeah.
If you remember that spring weather is, especially here in the UK, is a beautiful chaos of changing. And we've seen that today, like it literally being bright and sunny to chucking it down like the bitey cold, wet rain.
Yeah, it's like it goes straight through you sort of rain.
Yeah. And that sort of thing is so important about spring. And why I love it so much, because I love the chaos. I think it's absolutely hilarious. I literally been walking and it's like hot and I'm like taking off my layers and then suddenly it's like chucking it down and I'm just like, oh my God.
That's when you find out who's prepared and who isn't. You see the person running with like shorts and t-shirts. I mean, I'm describing myself. Shorts and t-shirts in the rain, and then the one who just pulls their waterproofs out of their bag or whatever, and it's like, I'm ready.
And I am always prepared.
I was going to say, I feel like I've just described us at either end of the scale there, really. But yeah.
But yeah, I love spring. Spring is my absolute favourite season. I love that our anniversary is technically like in spring, well, almost in spring.
Timed it well.
And I'm just really looking forward to this spring, especially, I think. Because it's the seeds currently in our garden. We repotted some ferns. I love ferns.
You can tell by looking at the 3 we've got in our garden.
I love them so much. Like I'm really excited just to see how things grow and how we grow through this season. And yeah, I hope everyone has a really happy, beautiful spring equinox and start to spring.
Yeah.
But before we completely head off, let's finish with our wellbeing segment. And ask the question of what has brought you joy in the last week.
I think, it kind of ties in quite a lot to what we've been talking about, really, but I think just the more kind of sunshine and even the more chaotic weather has brought joy this week, especially today when I came out to sort of pick you up after work. It was kind of going from that, basically what I just described, like within half an hour you had really bright, nice sun when I left to come pick you up, followed by a bit of rain and the sky that just went like completely black all of a sudden. Followed by a rainbow that we saw.
Double rainbow.
Oh, double rainbow. I only saw the first one, but it's probably because I was looking at the road more, so that's probably a good thing. But yeah, and then just like some crazy rain, back to no rain, back to even crazier rain as we got out of the car at home, and I'm just like, it just felt very spring, and it just it's really kind of cemented being in that season, especially after we've had like kind of the really nice weather now, and we've had this, and I'm sure we're going to have even more of both. So I think it's just made me excited for like the next few weeks to next few months, really, of this weather kind of slowly trending towards being warmer, but just looking forward to the chaos that's along the way. And just happy that will treat the garden and the plants well, and that will everything will be starting to grow.
I'm so excited for our garden.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a very good one. Definitely kind of stealing.
Yeah, I should let you go first one of these times, so I don't just yoink yours every time.
Another kind of moment of joy for me, as it was just like we were talking about, having my friends here and all that we were able to do. I think it was just such a soul-filling weekend of just like so much fun, and everyone was so, we just all had a good time with everything, and we squeezed so much into what was pretty much just over 24 hours of them being here.
Yeah, it wasn't long in the grand scheme.
No. So yeah, I am excited to be going hiking this weekend though,
yes.
and in the chaos weather.
Yes, I was going to say, I think it's due to be a bit of everything.
It's going to be colder.
It's going to be colder, so we're going to wrap up warm, but at least with hiking you're moving, so it keeps your blood pumping.
And then one thing or intention for the week ahead,
I think just to really enjoy our, again, as you mentioned, we've got our sort of holidays, and I think it's just trying to balance that, like really enjoying it and making the most of it, but also making sure we rest where it's needed, because I'm aware 5 days of fairly active stuff in pretty much both places we'll be doing a fair amount, so I think just kind of keeping an eye on our energy levels, and so we can keep enjoying it the most.
That's why I've packed some cozy activities for us to do
while we're away.
Yes,
you've got some cozy activities as well.
Packed the colouring books and games and things that we can just do.
Exactly, and we've got a hot tub, and we've got lots of pubs and cafes nearby as well that are very eager to go and relax in after any of our hikes as well. So
yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah.
My intention is just to, especially like the next couple of days, just kind of gather and prepare as much as I can for the weekend to best kind of support us both for the weekend, because it's not like we go on a hike every weekend, so it's going to be slightly different to normal activity. So just making sure that we have everything we need and kind of thinking of all the possible, use my Capricorn energy for good, and thinking about all the things that will be beneficial for us to have, and like functional and things like that. So yeah, I'm excited. When this episode is out, we will be in the Peak District.
We'll be hiking. 10 a.m. hiking or having a cozy morning. We'll find out. Leaning towards cozy morning, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, we shall see. But yeah, hopefully you have a beautiful spring equinox and a lovely weekend, and we will see you next time. Sending you lots of love and warmth.
See you then.